Welcome! So if you haven't checked out any of my recent videos, you might have missed the fact that I broke my foot surfing about 3 weeks ago. Things have looked a little bit different since then, lots of yoga with a boot on and seated qigong, but a real lack of Tai Chi content. So that's going to change starting today as we dive deep into the 10 essentials of Tai Chi. These were transmitted by Master Yang Chengfu. They're given to us to help guide our Tai Chi practice. So the first four that we're going to discuss focus in on how we hold our body or how we arrange our body shape. These things will help us allow energy to flow freely through our body and will give us that real sense of alignment and help to heal our joints and build muscle and strength. So really great things happening here. The place that we want to focus in on the 10 essentials in our beginning stages of our practice is in grasping the bird's tail. Now, grasping the bird's tail consists of ward off left, ward off right, roll back, press, and push. That's 5 movements. We're really going to focus on the last 4, which is ward off right, roll back, press, and push. That's because those 4 movements have a fixed stance. So when we work on our body shape, this gives us an opportunity to not have to think about our footwork and then just shift forward and back and focus on these first 4 principles of alignment. So let's get into it. The first principle we want to talk about is empty, lively, pushing up, and energetic. This means that we're going to lift up from the crown of our head. So we're going to lift up like there's a string pulling you from above. We don't want to build tension when we lift up, so it's not like a push, 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 but we want to relax a little bit and just think about gently lifting from above. The reason I don't focus in on this right away is because I always ask you to break this by stopping and looking down at your footwork. But again, in grasping the bird's tail, we have a fixed stance, so then we can focus in on lifting through the crown of our head and keeping our gaze level throughout our entire little mini practice session. These principles are all going to relate together. So the next one I want to focus in on is sinking the shoulders and dropping the elbows. This means that our shoulders aren't going to be up to our ears. We're going to relax the arms down. We're going to drop the elbows so that even in our hug a tree position, we don't have the arms up here. We're relaxing them down. So the energy can go down to our middle body, to our dantian. We want to avoid holding energy in the chest area, and we want to sink it down to the middle of our body. So we start by lifting up through the crown of the head, and then relating to that is dropping the shoulders. So we want to feel like we're suspended from above, and everything else is hanging down from our head, creating space in the neck, bringing that space in the vertebrae so that blood and energy can circulate freely. And that's really what's happening in all of these 4 principles of practice that coordinate to arranging our body shape. So the next 2, holding in the chest and slightly rounding the back. This means that we're not going to lift up through the chest area. We're going to sink down a little bit. So we want to relax the chest down. We don't want to lift up. We want to relax down, and we want to think about pulling the back apart. So what does this feel like? This feels like giving yourself a giant hug. This is like pulling in tight. Pull those shoulder blades apart. Now, when we actually do this, remember, Tai Chi is all about the small movements, not these big circles. It's like the little circles or the little things in our body that are going to give us the most. So instead of thinking about really rounding the back like this, relax and just pull apart from the shoulder blades that little bit. Remember, all of our joints should be opening. So little gaps between the fingers, shoulders, elbows sinking down, head lifting up, pulling the back, sinking in the chest, and just opening through the entire body. Our goal is to let that energy flow freely. That's why we practice. We're here to heal our bodies. A lot of us are here for balance too, and we're going to talk about that a lot in our next session. Right now, we want to focus on our body shape so that we can really get the most out of every movement. Remember, Tai Chi should never hurt. It should only feel good. We're here to enjoy our practice, and we're here to feel great. So let's get into the last one. The last principle that relates to our body shape is relaxing the waist. Now, I know when you hear the word waist, everyone's going to think about this front area or the whole way all the way around. That's not what we're going for here. What we're going for is that lower back area. So this is kind of relating to tucking our tailbone down. Remember, we want to create space in the joints. We want to create space in the spine. So that means from the crown of your head all the way down through your tailbone. So we want to take our hips, which are typically leaned back because we lock out our legs, and we want to level them out by tucking that tailbone down ever so slightly. Now remember, not too much, just a little bit. If we go too far with that tilt, we're going to round too far underneath. So we want to make sure our hips are level and that weight is going to be evenly distributed in our feet. So one of the things we can do is check in on our knees. If your knees are locked out, I guarantee you that your lower back is going to be arched and you're going to have that kink preventing energy from flowing freely. So we want to make sure the weight is centered on our footwork. That means front to back, side to side, nice and even. And then our knees are nice and soft. Remember, bent but not bent, straight but not straight, true Tai Chi fashion, a little bit of in between. And then that will allow us to find that neutral position with our waist relaxed. So all of these things really do build on one another, from the crown of the head all the way down through the tailbone. This allows that energy to flow freely from the ground, through the feet and legs, through our flexible waist, and then out through the hands and fingers. Remember, our goal is to feel heavy and stable through the lower body. We want to feel flexible through the middle, having that waist turning ability through using these principles, especially relaxing the waist. And then we want to feel light and airy through the arms. So just enough energy to keep the arms up, but not causing tension. Now, we say that we want to feel relaxed. In the beginning, it might not feel that relaxing, okay? Because we're working on all these different things in our practice. And if you're ever joining me for a class, it's about 45 minutes of practice of holding your arms up in the air. And I don't know about you, but there's not much else in life that we do for 45 minutes of holding our arms up in various positions. So it does take some time to build the muscle strength necessary to achieve a relaxed feeling with these principles of practice. Okay. So if we go back and revisit what are the 4 principles of practice that relate to our body shape, the first one is empty, lively, and pushing up. So lifting from the crown of your head. The next one, moving down, relax the shoulders and drop the elbows. So don't have them out, relax everything down. Then we have sinking in the chest. Let that energy go to your middle body, the true energy center of your body. And then relax the waist, allowing that energy to sink and feel settled down in your footwork so you're nice and solid, flexible through the middle body, and then light and airy through the arms. So, grasping the bird's tail. This is our great opportunity to practice. We're not moving our footwork. Set yourself up in a great bow stance and then see, as you move through, ward off right and then roll back. Press and push. Can you use these principles of practice in grasping the bird's tail? First and foremost, see if you can lift your head up the whole time. Remember, your footwork is not moving. So you can keep your gaze nice and level. Instead of looking down at your arms as you turn, see if you can stay level and then just let your head follow the arms or the action that's happening, but don't look down. Try to keep your gaze level on the horizon. And as you complete these movements, check in. Are your elbows down and shoulders down, relaxing? And then is your chest sinking in? Typically when we get to push, the chest likes to open up. See if you can relax. Have those elbows pointed to the back corner, the palms are sitting in front, and the chest is just sinking in nice and relaxing that energy down towards the dantian. Then, of course, there's the waist. So relaxing the waist and grasping the bird's tail, we have that fixed bow stance and we're shifting back and forth. Remember, as we shift, we want to use push and support. So that means that as we're pushing forward, we're stopping with our front leg. And as we're pushing back, our back leg is stopping us. So together we're creating this spring action. So we're really using all the muscles in our legs. And as we do that, we're making sure we're keeping our quad or our crotch area rounded and open so that our knees stay in line with our toe direction, and then our waist is relaxed and our hips are staying in a neutral position. So the best way to practice this is some waist training in a chair where our sit bones are connected to our seat and we can bring our arms up into that hug a tree position and we just turn. And we learn how to turn from our middle body without moving our hips. So then when we bring it into a bow stance, we can then keep our knees and our hips in line with moving from our middle body. And then we can bring it into our grasping the bird's tail practice. So if you've seen some of my beginner classes, you'll see that this is the progression that we've been following, all to get to this point. Now, you've probably heard me say a lot of these things in other classes, but I've never called them out as the 10 principles of practice. That's because I want you to get comfortable hearing these things so that eventually when you do hear the 10 principles or 10 essentials of Tai Chi, that you feel, oh, I've heard this before. I've already been working on this. And it gets to a point of being just comfortable and easy to add into your practice. So this session was all about our body shape. The next session is going to be all about coordinating our movement. So how do we bring these things together? That's what we're going for. Again, using grasping the bird's tail as our jumping point for all of these 10 essentials. Let's take one more moment to review. Today's session, head lifting up, shoulders and elbows down, relax the waist and sink the chest and round the back. All kind of relating to the upper body, but again, related to sinking that weight into your footwork, finding balance and stability so that we feel strong and stable in the lower body, flexible in the middle, and light and airy in the arms. So I hope you enjoyed today's session. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, drop a comment below, reach out on my website. I want to help you in your Tai Chi practice in any way that I can. And remember, Tai Chi should be fun. We say that we play Tai Chi. That means that it should be an enjoyable practice. I know that traditional Yang family Tai Chi has a lot of details to it, so it's a lot of information in the beginning, but I want you to enjoy your practice as much as possible. So I hope you'll join me for the next session, and I hope to see you again soon.